Saniya Rivers got on live, and you better believe the next time that the Indiana Fever faced Connecticut Sun, like, I just want to see, has this really even been covered on YouTube? ESPN posted it 7 hours ago. ESPN posted it. ESPN took clips of it live and posted it in full on their one, which is crazy.
Her teammate, so evil.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Marina Mabrey, damned if I do. Did she just say damned if I do, damned if I don't? She just knocked someone on their ass for no reason from behind. She freaking Marcus Morris them. Well, no, sorry, Nikola Jokic on Marcus Morris them.
If I do, damned if I don't.
I hate that one up.
Like, it's just basketball, man. Y'all love that shit in the NBA though. It be cool when the dudes do.
A recent WNBA game took an unexpected turn, on and off the court, after Sophie Cunningham suffered one of the hardest fouls of the season. While fans expected a show of concern, what followed sparked even more conversation. Instead of support, fellow players Dejounte Carrington and Marina Mabrey took to Instagram Live, openly criticizing Cunningham. They accused her of being inauthentic and going against an unspoken understanding among players, a surprising move that caught many off guard. What looked like a typical post-game reaction turned into a highly visible moment of conflict, shedding light on deeper tensions within the league. For Cunningham, the backlash wasn't just physical, it became a heated public debate, one that revealed some simmering rivalries within the WNBA player community.
I want to talk about, this is crazy, this is Saniya Rivers and Marina Mabrey going on TikTok after that Connecticut Sun game and lying. And this is an example. I want to go through some things with this because this is an example to me of what an absolute unprofessional cesspool the WNBA is. I know you all know that, but I still think it's important to talk about this because history gets rewritten all of the time. I just saw somebody talking about now that with the Cheryl Reeves stuff, if you saw my video, people talking about how Caitlin Clark was not playing well at the time of the selection and on, and that again, revisionist history. I did a deep dive at the time, playing as well or better than any guard in the league.
The moment that set everything in motion came during a particularly intense game, when Sophie Cunningham was on the receiving end of a hard, controversial foul. Connecticut Sun guard J.C. Sheldon made a powerful move, lowering her shoulder and colliding directly with Cunningham in a way that many felt had little to do with making a play on the ball. The impact was jarring, drawing immediate reactions from fans and players alike, and sparking conversations about sportsmanship and intent in high-stakes matchups.
So, first of all, there was a practice. They did their media during the practice. They pulled Sophie Cunningham aside, and of course they asked her about the J.C. Sheldon incident, and she stood on business. She said, this has been going on for a couple years now. Mind you, she was on the Phoenix Mercury last season, but she had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
This wasn't your typical screen or accidental bump, it felt deliberate. The force of the hit sent Sophie Cunningham to the floor in a moment so intense, it left fans and commentators stunned. While physical play has become a hallmark of this WNBA season, this particular incident stood out. It seemed personal, charged with more than just competitive energy. There was an underlying message, one that hinted at deeper tensions brewing beneath the surface. And as the reaction unfolded, it became clear, this wasn't just about one hard foul, it marked the beginning of something much bigger.
Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. Every game she is dropping golden eggs, and they are trying to strangle the golden goose to death. There's jealousy, there is hate. Everyone in the league seems to hate the fact that Caitlin Clark is making the league relevant. If I were advising Caitlin Clark, I would say start your own pro basketball league for women. I don't know why she benefits from the WNBA at all.
To fully understand the weight of that shoulder check, you have to look at the role Sophie Cunningham had been shaping for herself in recent weeks. As the spotlight on Caitlin Clark's high-profile rookie season intensified, especially around the physical challenges she faced, Cunningham emerged as one of Clark's most outspoken supporters. She positioned herself as a visible defender, speaking out in the media and drawing attention to what she saw as unfair treatment. So when the on-court collision happened, it didn't feel like an isolated moment. It felt like a message, one that echoed the growing tension around loyalty, image, and unspoken rules in the league.
She could go out. She is the draw for women's basketball and set up her own league. She might even be able to own the majority of the league. She could probably become a billionaire, set it up with far fewer teams, You play far fewer.
Sophie Cunningham wasn't just speaking up, she was everywhere. From podcasts to press interviews, she became a prominent voice calling for the league to protect Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's rising star. In the eyes of many fans and media outlets, Cunningham emerged as a veteran leader, someone willing to rise above team rivalries to stand for what she believed was right. She was seen as a protector, a player using her platform to push for fairness and safety. But while the public applauded her stance, it was creating tension behind the scenes. Inside the league, some saw her not as a hero, but as someone stepping into a role that others didn't ask her to play, putting her at odds with peers who felt the message didn't speak for them.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happened.
If the Indiana Fever fans keep voting the way that they are, could they get Sophie Cunningham to an All-Star game? The Indiana Fever have 4 players in the top 10 of WNBA All-Star voting right now. So could we see 5? However, that top 10 is missing someone, and I think you guys are about to snub Angel Reese from an All-Star game, which is crazy.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happened.
If the Indiana Fever fans keep voting the way that they are, could they get Sophie Cunningham to an All-Star game? The Indiana Fever have 4 players in the top 10 of WNBA All-Star voting right now. So could we see 5? However, that top 10 is missing someone, and I think you guys are about to snub Angel Reese from an All-Star game, which is crazy.
Just hours after the game, and while conversations around the hard foul on Sophie Cunningham were still gaining momentum, Dejounte Carrington took to Instagram Live and delivered a message that sent shockwaves through the league. Calm but cutting, Carrington didn't just question Cunningham's recent media persona, she dismantled it. Her criticism was sharp. If Sophie was truly an advocate for player safety, why had she stayed silent while others, including Caitlin Clark's own teammates like Nalissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston, endured rough treatment game after game? Carrington's point was clear. Many felt Cunningham's vocal support had been selective, focused only on the one player at the center of the media spotlight. To them, it wasn't about solidarity, it looked like savvy branding. What followed was more than just a personal call-out. It was a rare moment of public pushback within the league, challenging not just what was said in interviews, but who gets protected and why. In Carrington's eyes, Cunningham's actions weren't heroic, they were strategic, and that message landed loudly.
Sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
And standing right there, a pillar of ice as Carrington delivered this verbal demolition, was Marina Mabrey. She said almost nothing, but her cold, unwavering stare was more powerful than any speech could ever be. Mabrey is the undisputed queen of unbothered intensity, the goddess of not giving a damn, and her silent presence was a chilling, absolute endorsement of every single word Carrington said.
And let's start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bad out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to...
It wasn't just Dejounte Carrington airing a personal grievance, it echoed a broader frustration that had been quietly building in locker rooms throughout the league. When Marina Mabrey appeared alongside her on the live stream, her presence spoke volumes. Calm, composed, and intentionally silent, Mabrey didn't need to say much. Her support alone signaled that this sentiment wasn't isolated. It was a shared stance, a collective message. Together, the moment felt less like a social media rant and more like a coordinated statement, a verdict from Cunningham's peers. Carrington may have delivered the words, but Mabrey's quiet presence underscored the seriousness, like a final gavel strike signaling that the court of player opinion had made up its mind.
I've been watching that Sophie Cunningham thing on repeat, man. That clip where she grabbed the girl and threw her down, so foul. It's a hard basketball foul, probably over the top. Of course it is, but why would it not be given the circumstances? But once she did the clinch, man, MMA fans, UFC, grappling, Muay Thai, like we all know, once you seen that clinch, it was like, okay, she just ain't no regular fucking person. She knows something. She got some skills, and I guess she has like a black belt in Taekwondo or some shit like that, which is wild. And apparently she was the kicker on a high school football team. I mean, I've been going to the fucking lore of what is Sophie Cunningham. I'm like, god damn. This is what they mean when they talking about they like snow bunnies. Like this.
At its core, this entire situation points to something much larger, the ripple effect of Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA. Her debut has brought unprecedented attention, sponsorships, and record-breaking viewership to the league. But with that spotlight has come growing tension. The media's near-singular focus on Clark has shifted the narrative, with every foul she takes treated as a national flashpoint. While her impact on the league's visibility is undeniable, it's also raised uncomfortable questions about balance, fairness, and who gets to be seen and heard. Beneath the surface, there's a growing divide, one that the league must navigate carefully if it hopes to grow stronger together.
Nah, enough's enough, bruh. Enough is enough, bruh. What is going on? WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous. Marina Mabrey, you just put yourself in the Dejanay Carrington box. You dirty slime ball player, you come and blindside Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabrey assaulted and tried to fight Caitlin Clark today. This is ridiculous. WNBA, Kathy Engelberg, do something. Do y'all want to go back to 55 to 60% of the people not watching shit again? I normally don't cuss in my blogs, but forget that. This was bull.
At the same time, many players, including veterans and even Clark's own teammates on the Indiana Fever, are facing equal, if not more intense, physical play without the same level of attention or concern. Hard fouls often go unnoticed, whistles stay silent, and the media response is minimal at best. This clear disparity has created a growing sense of frustration across the league. To some, it feels like there are now two sets of rules, one for Caitlin Clark and one for everyone else. The result is a deepening divide between those who appear protected by the spotlight and those who feel left to navigate the game's physical demands on their own.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their this.
Marina Mabrey's frustration isn't new, it's part of a longer story that's been unfolding for some time. Take, for example, the well-known game between her Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, where Mabrey herself delivered a forceful shove to Caitlin Clark during a heated moment on the court. That act wasn't random, it came from the same deep-seated frustration that many players have expressed over the league's perceived imbalance. Mabrey has been on the front lines of this ongoing battle, experiencing firsthand what it feels like to be caught in the crossfire of growing divisions within the WNBA.
Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
From the viewpoint of Marina Mabrey and many seasoned veterans, basketball has always been a physical sport, tough, gritty, and demanding. So when Sophie Cunningham suddenly stepped up as Caitlin Clark's outspoken protector, while seemingly ignoring the struggles of other players across the league, it struck a nerve. To Mabrey and others, Cunningham wasn't just defending a fellow player, she was picking sides. And in their eyes, she aligned herself with the media's favorite star, not with the hardworking veterans who have long built the foundation of the WNBA. So when Connecticut Sun guard J.C. Sheldon forcefully collided with Cunningham, sending her crashing to the floor, it wasn't just seen as a foul. For players like Dejounte Carrington and Mabrey, it felt like karma, a consequence of breaking an unspoken but sacred locker room rule. The message? You can't pick and choose who deserves your support, especially when the one you champion already has the world fighting her battles. The Instagram live that followed was far from petty drama. It was an official reckoning. Carrington and Mabrey publicly called out Cunningham, branding her an outsider who prioritized media politics over genuine solidarity. Cunningham wasn't just hit on the court, she was exiled from the circle of trust in front of the entire league. Meanwhile, the WNBA league office remained silent. The league, which prides itself on marketing its players as some of the toughest athletes around, handed down only a minor penalty to Sheldon, a slap on the wrist that felt more like a formality than a serious punishment. This hesitation only deepened players' frustrations. They see a league eager to promote strength and resilience, but quick to shy away when that toughness challenges the preferred narrative. It's a double standard: be strong, but not too strong, be physical, but only against those who don't have the media spotlight. This hypocrisy forces players to enforce their own code of conduct because they no longer trust the league to do so. Carrington and Mabrey didn't go live out of anger alone, they did it because they felt the system had failed them. When official channels fall short, players create their own justice. At its core, this conflict boils down to one simple truth: Sophie Cunningham was accused of playing the wrong game. The WNBA now faces two competing realities. One unfolds on the court, a game defined by skill, sweat, and hard-earned respect earned through battle. The other plays out under the bright lights, a game shaped by media narratives, sound bites, and public perception. Many veterans believe loyalty can only belong to one of these games. By becoming the face of the Protect Caitlin Clark movement, Cunningham was seen as choosing the media narrative over the player's reality. Respect in this world isn't earned by giving interviews or podcast appearances, it's earned by standing shoulder to shoulder with your teammates in the toughest moments. The Instagram Live wasn't just a confrontation, it was a declaration. Carrington and Mabrey drew a clear line: you're either with the players or with the narrative. You can't be both. This tangled mix of a hard foul, public shaming, and quiet league approval exposes a WNBA at a critical crossroads. The surge in popularity brought by stars like Caitlin Clark is reshaping the league, but it's also creating growing pains. The old, unspoken rules that have governed player relationships for years are clashing with new media attention and fan expectations. The takedown of Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a warning, it was the opening salvo in what's shaping up to be a fierce battle for the very identity of the WNBA. And as Caitlin Clark's spotlight shines ever brighter, one thing is clear: the tension between the players who live the game and the stories that sell it will only intensify. This isn't the end of the drama. It's just the beginning.